debate is still very much on, and a whole lot of comments from Nigerians. Joining us to look at the National Conference debate, Chris Akiri is a legal practitioner as well as Chairman, Editorial Board, National Daily Newspapers. Good morning.
Morning.
Well, you know, this was quite commendable from some Nigerians coming from the presidency, but now we're getting to hear different comments as well from legal practitioners, Nigerians from all divide. What did you make of this when you first heard of the composition of the advisory board?
When I heard of the composition of the advisory board by the president, I think I went into ecstasis. I was very happy, particularly when I saw names like Professor Ben Nwabweze there and other people who have been serious advocates of a national conference. You know, I was very happy that at the end of the day, I mean, at last, it has happened. I was very happy. That was my first reaction.
And, yes. You know, followed, we had comments of this going to the National Assembly after the whole exercise, and some other Nigerians will have their own misgivings.
Yes, you see, the point is that the happiness I got when I heard of the composition
has increased.
Yes, you know,
the happiness has increased.
The happiness decreased. I mean, it was deflated. I mean, I was not happy again. And as I talk to you now, I think I have descended into the limbo of unhappiness about this matter.
Why is that?
Why is that? You see, you take a cursory look into history, and then you immediately would agree with me that in 2005, when the former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, constituted this committee, what he called National Political Reforms Conference. You see, everybody was happy, but because of the way he constituted it, and the way he denied it of the quality of sovereignty. Now, I knew, I wrote in my book, chapter 36 of my book, The Way It Is, that it was not going to be productive of any positive result. I said so, and that was what it was. We were in for a jamboree. Incidentally, I was a member of the think tank representing Delta State in that conference, and everything that should be discussed was discussed. Now, and then we came out with a big report. Now, but because of the nature of the conference, now the question is, where is the report today? It has either been incinerated or shredded or thrown into the dustbin, and I'm sure it's in the dustbin now if it has not been incinerated. Now, so, when President Jonathan announced this one, I thought we were going to veer away from the mistake of 2005.
What was the mistake?
The mistake was not making the conference a sovereign thing. Now, and when you make it sovereign, you don't have to refer any report to the National Assembly. In this case, it says, the report of the conference is going to be submitted to the National Assembly and to all the state houses of assembly for ratification. Immediately you would know that we are in for another jamboree, because that's not the way it will be. We are being hoodwinked into believing that, oh, there is a conference, just to fob us off with a talk show. That's the way it is.
But you are a constitutional lawyer.
Yes.
Don't you see legal problems? Because that's what a host of people have seen.
Yes.
Don't you see legal problems for that process without involving the National Assembly?
Okay. Now, you see, I'm happy you say I'm a constitutional lawyer, and I am. You see, Section 9 of the Constitution talks about how the Constitution can be altered. That's the language of the Constitution. But they actually mean amended. You know, how the Constitution can be altered. Provisions of the Constitution can be altered. Because the National Assembly has the power to alter or amend provisions of the Constitution and not to review the Constitution or give us a brand new Constitution. They don't have that power. Sovereignty belongs to the people. In terms of Section 14 of the Constitution, sovereignty belongs to all of us. And we are the donors of sovereignty to any department of government. The National Assembly, the executive, the judiciary are the donees of our sovereignty, which inheres in us. So now the people in whom sovereignty inheres, are saying, this is what we want to do. They cannot, the National Assembly cannot produce a new constitution now, for example. I've said so several times. Now, for example, we are a federation. If the National Assembly can, alter the provisions of Section, 22, 28, and so on, Section 48, and all those sections of the Constitution, they cannot alter the provisions of Sections 1 to 3, where Nigeria is said to be a federation. You cannot say Nigeria is no longer a federation and that you are making Nigeria a unitary state. The National Assembly have no right to do that. To produce, that's why I have said, to produce a brand new constitution for the Nigerian nation space, the people have to take over their sovereignty and then work out a brand new constitution.
How can that be? Every time we talk about the people taking over their sovereignty,
yes,
and we try to see if we can, put some kind of meaning into all of that.
Yes.
What kind of process are you talking about?
What kind of process is this same type of process that I thought the president was initiating? I went into ecstasies when he talked about, I said, at last, because I didn't know that anybody was going to make the mistake of 2005, which Obasanjo made, constitution in a jamboree type of this thing, talk, and then at the end of the day, you throw the report into the door, because sending it to the National Assembly, the report to the National Assembly, or to the state, not to talk of even send it to the State of Assembly, as if we were amending the Constitution. You remember, I just told you that Section 9 of the Constitution deals with how you amend the Constitution. It is like this. When the National Assembly wants to amend any provision of the Constitution, they must be able to muster 2/3 of all the members of the National Assembly. Then they now talk of the amendment. It is passed at that level. Then it is sent to all the state houses of assembly, for approval. If 2/3 of all the state houses of assembly also agree to that amendment, then the Constitution is said to have been amended. But it's only the only areas where they required 4/5 is Chapter 4, which deals on on fundamental human rights. They need 4/5, both at the National Assembly and at all the state houses of assembly. That's that. So what the president wants to do now is even like you are amending the Constitution. You want to send it to the National Assembly, and thereafter, which will then send it to the state houses of assembly. So if they agree to what the national conference is going to say, then you will. Why don't you just say, continue with the amendment of the Constitution?